Hello, hello, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Chimipsua. So happy to see you here tonight. Ready for the GenX memory show. Uh, and this is Cassie. Hi, Cassie. All right. Put Cassie down. With 9 cats in the house, well, 8 are in the house. You never know when one might make an appearance. So tonight we're going to talk about the neighborhood, and that is chapter 2 of my book. Hey, Lemoyne in the house, Lemoyne in the house. Excellent. Great to see you here. Uh, Chalet will probably join shortly if she didn't mess up the time change. Her time change. My time didn't change. Oh, goodness. Because if I adjust for your time change, fall back, you go turn, you go back. I don't know. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to think that hard. Okay. So, um, I think we discovered last night that if I load up the PDF into share the slides, it shows the whole page. And so you can't really see so much. So you did that yesterday too. Yeah, don't blame me. I know there's a lot of talk about people wanting to get rid of it in the US. Some states have gotten rid of it. I know Arizona does not recognize it. So or I don't know if it's Arizona or Utah. Um, Maybe both of them. So anyway, um, but yeah, Cambodia does not have daylight savings time. So I still start at 9 p.m. my time, wherever you are in the world. You can adjust accordingly. I know YouTube does that for you, which is why I like to put, uh, I'll schedule the live stream so that way people can see in YouTube what time it's going to start in their area, wherever they are. So anyway, so yeah, I'm just going to share my whole screen. New Mexico does not change time. Okay. Um, yeah. Oh, okay. I hope we don't have trouble buffering or whatever. We shouldn't. Yeah. That's two. That's 2 times or 3, really, if you kind of count that. So let's see. I'm waiting for it to open. It says that StreamYard's not responding. That's okay. I'm looking at my signal. Mhm. Should maybe make a note. Oh, okay. Wait. Here's the share the screen. Just share the entire screen. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to make a little note. If the stream pauses. Just hang on. Okay, we'll get that little notice up there. 5 minutes already. Okay, we'll show that comment. All right. So let's hope we don't have any more pausing. I have one bar on the Wi-Fi. I've been thinking about how I might be able to run like a cable from the router so I can plug it in directly. That's what they say you should do. But all right, so let's get into GenX, the neighborhood. It's chapter 2. And so I need to share this. So you can see this. I guess I need to put it there like that so you can still see me too. But I need to, this way I can. It's page width. Oh, because it's a PDF and not the. Oh, okay. Let me share the Word document. I think I can get it bigger for you this way. Tried to get all this ready for you. All right. View. Okay, yeah, the view is page width. All right. Okay. Move this over a little bit. Oh, I guess I don't need to move it over. I can go like this. All right. Sunset Salty Stage in the house. Welcome. We're just ready to get started. I will read from the book I'm writing. It's just 2 pages, this chapter. And then we can chit chat about what your neighborhoods were like growing up, Gen X, or if you're not Gen X, how does it, how do you feel learning about this? What was it like when you were growing up? Right. So let's get started. After World War II, when servicemen returned home, they were ready to leave the Great Depression behind. Let me start over. After World War II, when servicemen returned home, they were ready to leave the Great Depression behind and go after the American dream. Urban sprawl gave way to a new phenomenon called suburbs. Before the term Silicon Valley was coined in 1971 to describe the tech hub that we know today, the Southern Bay Area was known for its military bases, like Moffett Field, where huge blimp hangars were built, and scientific innovation led the development of computers and aerospace technology at places like the Ames Research Center and Lockheed. Nestled against the rolling foothills separating the Bay Area from the Central Valley was a new suburb called Milpitas. My grandparents felt this was the perfect place to raise their 5th and final child, my Uncle John. Their first 4 children had already flown the nest, and my mother decided when it was time for me to start kindergarten, we moved in with my grandparents, and my Uncle John became more like an older brother, being only 7 years older than me. The streets were quiet as every 2 made a U shape, curving at a park that stretched from the playground at the end of our street to Murphy Elementary School with a large grass field connecting them for sports. Neighbors of the same age became instant friends. Throughout the 70s, I would roller skate on this street, learn to ride a bike, and race around on my skateboard. The park was filled with sand and had a large swing set holding around 10 swings. There was a metal slide that wrapped around a tower with a ladder inside to climb up to the top. Unfortunately, some people liked to use the enclosed ladder to relieve themselves instead of going to the bathrooms provided adjacent to the park. So we often had to hold our breath when climbing up it. It's funny how we were only concerned with the smell, not germs. There was a merry-go-round and some simple bars that were probably designed for doing pull-ups, but we would swing upside down from our knees to flip off of it as far as we could. There was also an old-fashioned Western wagon made of metal that harkened to the city's proud frontier days, celebrated each year with a parade. Calaveras Boulevard winded its way up the foothills to Ed Levin Park. There was a small lake with plenty of ducks to feed, a riding stable, and picnic tables. My mom would ta- my mom would take me there often, and I loved watching the colorful hang gliders, which were a new thing, soaring through the air after launching further up the hills. In the 1950s, Highway 17 became the Nimitz Freeway, renamed Interstate 880 in 1984, and was the major road to go either north along the East Bay or south through San Jose. That was fine and dandy, but in 1974, Interstate 680 opened, and it was a real freeway. It was just behind the apartment building I lived in with my mom by then, and I remember riding our bicycles on it before cars were allowed. Moffett Field was the home of a Hangar 1 built in the 1940s to house blimps. There were two of them, and they were a landmark that could easily be spotted on any road trip. Since my grandfather was a longtime Army serviceman, my grandmother would shop at the commissary there. She drove the station wagon to be able to stock up on supplies. I would bring my Barbies and Matchbox cars so I could make a city by arranging the many paper bags of groceries as buildings with streets in between. One time on our way home, there was an accident. A car was turned upside down. I'm not sure if she pulled over or if we were just driving by slowly. There was a woman, injured and bloody, reaching her arm out of the window for help, but no one did anything. This absolutely stirred my heart. Why wasn't anyone helping her? As a young child, there was no way for me to comprehend if there was a reason, but to this day, my recollection includes the feeling that maybe no one was helping because she was Black. I have no idea where this thought could have come from, since my family was not prejudiced, so how could I have developed an awareness at such a young age that such racism existed? On the boundary between Milpitas and San Jose, at the intersection of Park Victoria Drive and Landis Avenue, was a strip mall. It was anchored at each end with a Lucky supermarket and a Thrifty's drugstore. There was a Winchell's Donuts, Shakey's Pizza, and a Kodak photo developing. Plastic bags were the new thing to save the environment because we wouldn't need to cut as many trees to make paper bags. The baggers, yes, this was an actual job description, and really good ones knew how to put the cans at the bottom and bread at the top. They would even help you out to the car and load the bags into your trunk. Would ask, paper or plastic? Because it was your choice. Many people still chose paper. We reused the bags as book covers for our textbooks because you could draw on them, and they were sturdier than plastic, at least vertically. People didn't trust that plastic wouldn't break. Thrifty's was the place to go for ice cream. They had a special shaped scoop that was easy to stack double and triple scoops in a cylindrical shape. A single scoop was 5 cents, 10 cents for a double, and 15 cents for a triple. My favorite flavors were bubblegum, Rocky Road, mint chip, and rum raisin. They also had every kind of candy. It was about a mile away, and in those days, I could walk there with a friend. My mom decided to move out on her own and chose the newly constructed Sun Tree Apartments, a few blocks away from my grandparents. It was modern and so stereotypically 70s. All the units had shag carpet in the fashionable harvest gold, avocado, lime green. No, I think that should, wouldn't avocado and lime green be the same color? There was also orange. Anyway, or brown with matching kitchen countertops. There were downstairs units and upstairs units. We lived upstairs, so there was a vaulted wood ceiling with windows. Our shag carpet was harvest gold, and one of my chores was to rake it every day. We had a living room and 2 bedrooms with a bathroom that had 2 doors, one off the hallway and one to the master bedroom. The kitchen was small but had a countertop open to the living room. The dining area was also open to the living room with a phone on the wall. No one wants to stand next to the phone for a long conversation, so my mom bought an extra long cord. She could sit comfortably at the table and talk while in the and she she could sit comfortably at the table or talk while in the kitchen. It would reach all the way to my bedroom if I stretched it all the way and stayed just inside the door. There was always the problem of it getting twisted. The apartments were also wired for cable TV, but I think the service needed to be paid for to be connected. I fondly remember having to adjust rabbit ears on our TV, but maybe that was just because our TV was older and didn't have a cable connection. Each building had a laundry room at one end with big washers and dryers. They were coin operated, so you always saved your quarters. Another special feature was that the engineers did their math and figured out how many water heaters were needed, so that by the time the last one emptied of hot water, the first one was hot again. So we never ran out of hot water. I didn't realize at the time how rare that was. I would sometimes take a hot shower for an hour. It just felt so good. There were a few playgrounds, all made out of wood and metal. The wood was timber and looked similar to railroad ties. It was so cool. Behind the office was a swimming pool. There were about 8 to 10 buildings scattered on the property. So that describes the apartment complex. And then I didn't realize that I had written up above. And so just now I added this. Milpitas is situated at the edge of the foothills and just up Calaveras Boulevard. Was Ed Levin Park. My mom would drive us up there to picnic. We would feed the ducks and watch hang gliders soaring until they landed in the park. So, let's see, this is the Word document. Let's just take that out because it's already up there at the top. All right. So that's it. I'll bring that down. I can actually, since we're sharing the whole screen, it wouldn't do to have it. No. Okay, I am making a new tab, but so I'm going to remove this one. So what are your thoughts? Does anybody want to come up on panel and talk? Stop sharing. And here you go. You don't have to type all of having trouble connecting. Okay. Just hang on there, Lemoyne. Let me try again. Here we go. I don't know why the other one didn't work. So yeah, it'd be interesting to know, did you have similar experiences? Were your experiences different as far as the environment that you grew up in? But I know that I couldn't have asked for a better childhood. It was good. And I mean, for the place that I grew up, there's Lemoyne. Let me add you.
Yep.
Hey, hey.
I'm here.
All right. So, how does my experience compare with your experience growing up?
Well, when we got back from Germany, we lived in a fairly cloned neighborhood. All the houses were all basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and basically, we went as probably as far back as third, maybe fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And we basically roamed the streets. Um, my father, being an NCO, we had, I mean, we weren't like destitute poor. We weren't well off. So
Mm-hmm.
so what we did is like the bicycles we had were usually made from parts when people would be throwing away bicycles or what have you. We
Mm.
would go gather those up and we would basically cannibalize them and make our own bikes.
Uh-huh. Oh, and Chalet's in the house. Hey,
Hey, Chalet.
hey. So
Uh,
I just finished reading the two chapters about the neighborhood that I grew up in and what it was like and setting the stage of and so we're comparing like what it was like where you grew up. Do you want to the yo, if you want to come up here and be on screen as well, the link is right there. So go
um,
ahead and continue, please.
uh, the uh, the thing about I was actually, believe it or not, I was an adult before I experienced any kind of like stereotypical racism because growing up in a military town,
Mm-hmm.
we from a very young age we were exposed to people of different cultures, different ethnicities, different countries, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what we grew up with. And it wasn't until after I graduated high school and and started working for the prison system, and I moved from Central Texas to East Texas. And that was, I mean, when you're, 20, 22 years old, that is a shock
Mm.
because East Texas is definitely has some antebellum holdovers to it.
Mm.
And I mean, it's gotten better since the early 90s, but it's still there.
Yeah.
And another thing that shocked me when I moved to the Huntsville area was people that were born, lived, and died without ever leaving this after, the general probably about 150, 200 miles.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That was a shock.
Yeah. I did so much traveling as a child that as a young adult, some of my friends in the Modesto area in the Central Valley of California had never left the Central Valley. I mean, Yosemite National Park is right there. They'd never been to Yosemite
Mhm.
and they'd never seen the Pacific Ocean. And I
Yeah.
was just like, I couldn't wrap my head around that. But hey, we got to say happy birthday to Chalet. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
And
Slay.
yes, and she says she basically grew up in Mayberry, USA, and it was awesome. And she's gonna
Ah,
go have Sunday brunch with her mom or lunch.
mm,
Let's see. She says Marion, Iowa was 4 hours away from the major cities of Chicago, Minneapolis, and St. Louis, etc. 4 hours, yeah. So that's doable. And from
yeah.
Omaha.
See, the town I grew up in, Carpus Cove, was 3 hours from Houston and 3 hours from Dallas.
Mm.
So we would go. Like one year we would go up to like Six Flags. Then the next year we'd go down to like Astroworld,
Mm,
and Austin was 65 miles away, so that wasn't bad.
that's not far. Yeah.
Uh, um, Spent a lot of time in Austin as a teenager. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, that was interesting.
Was it kind of artsy and stuff back then, or did that only happen more recently?
Actually, it was especially Sixth Street in Austin.
Hmm.
Never realized the '60s ended. Yeah,
Same as
Austin.
Haight Ashbury in San Francisco.
Yeah, it was. It Yeah, Austin is basically Texas's answer to places like Seattle and Frisco and places like that.
Yeah, Venice Beach, California,
Yeah,
in the Southern California.
yeah, that's basically all that is compressed into Austin, and it's
Mhm,
always been artsy, I guess you would call it.
mhm,
They always seem to get all the fads and fashion and art and stuff that
mhm.
is cultivated on the West Coast first, and it kind of disseminated throughout Texas from Austin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm,
Uh, the the fact, because of the weird, because I don't see it today, is the weird. We were our divisions were, you had the officers' kids, you had the enlisted kids. We would group, and that's how everyone grouped up. So it
mm,
was very common for somebody that was 17, 18 years old to be hanging out with people that are, 13, 14, 15 years old, kind of like, you know, they ascended to the leadership role, as people graduated from high school and went about their, life, the new crop of older kids took over type thing.
mhm, mhm,
So yeah, there was a lot of things that, because of this type of culture, that we were probably exposed to at a very young age and probably shouldn't have been.
mm.
um yeah, it was. And this is something I was kind of thinking about the other day. There are things that I logically know that I, at some point in my life, I didn't know, but
Okay.
because I've known them so long, my brain tells me, "Oh, you've always known this." I'm like, I couldn't have always known that.
Right.
And I was thinking about that the other day, going, yeah, because I was watching Kira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai,
Oh, okay.
and I'm like, yeah, and I was like, I wonder when, and I started thinking about it and went, wait a minute, my brain is telling me I've always known this movie, but at some point, because it is one of my favorite movies, and I'm like, that that is that is one of the big takeaways I have from my childhood, is because we learned stuff. Like I said, we probably shouldn't have learned at the age we learned them,
Hmm.
but because of that, the brain has encoded it that we've always known this.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder how much of that comes to, is related to whatever is your coming of age
Mm-hmm.
year. It could be different for different people, but that in that, uh, you know, preteen to teen, somewhere in
Yeah,
there, you
yeah.
kind of get that jump happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if it's kind of like the things that we knew then feel like we've always known it.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe there's a trigger in the brain when you go through adolescence, that anything that you've learned during, like right before adolescence starts and through adolescence, that your brain just hardwires in. That's I wonder about
That
that.
makes a lot of sense. They say the brain is still developing until your early 20s, right?
Yeah. I think 25 for women and never for men. I think that's what scientists say.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
It's
Uh,
it's like right now in Texas, there's this big push to try to make voting 21.
hmm.
Yeah, because the political party that's in power is afraid of the 18-year-olds voting.
Hmm. But
Because
on one hand, then the drinking age is 21. So
yeah,
it does kind of seem like voting and drinking should be the same, but does that mean lower the drinking age to 18 or raise the voting age to 21? But there should be some consistency with that.
yeah,
I think even driving licenses.
see, I always felt that age of consent, joining the military, drinking, all should and voting should all be the same age.
Yeah, whatever arbitrary age that's going to
Yeah,
be, it makes sense to be the same.
yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's I don't it baffles me. I know people that are really strong proponents of making everything either 21 or 18. They don't really care which, just pick one and go with it.
Yeah. So to
But
change subject a little bit, Chalet, where do you know where you're going to go for your lunch? And in addition to that, um, let's all of us like, what would have been your go-to birthday restaurant growing up? So for me, I have to say Farrell's, the ice cream parlor. I mean, as far as like celebrating a birthday, you know, did you know about Farrell's?
no, I've never heard of them, to be honest with you.
Well, you
Might be a
kind of
web.
know the turn of the century look of um in fact, well, let's just look them up. Let's do that's fun. And whatever you guys answer as well. So here's the new tab. I'm going to share the new tab. Browser can't access your screen. Try capturing a different screen. See if this continues. Whatever. Do it again. Share the screen. New tab. Share. Okay. Do 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 do. What would we do if we didn't have Jeopardy to do that? Remember twiddling your thumbs?
Mm-hmm.
Used to be as like a sign of like you're bored waiting, so you twiddle your thumbs,
Mm-hmm.
or like do your nails like that. You hear that? So here's some pictures of Farrell's. And if you had a birthday party, they had this big stretcher thing that they would bring your your birthday ice cream on and sing and make a big fuss.
Yeah.
So that's I'd say Farrell's. If I had to choose like a restaurant, as far as like having a lunch or something, I would say my favorite was probably Marie Callender's, which I
Ah.
think a lot of people know of because of their frozen meals now.
Actually,
to
Houston has a Marie Cavender's restaurant.
yeah. I mean, so when I grew up, it was the restaurant.
Yeah, which is a really good restaurant.
Hmm. And of course, they were really famous for their cheesecake. But one of the things that I really liked to eat was the tuna melt. So like a grilled tuna sandwich.
Yeah.
The other restaurant, like for special occasions that I really like because they would always give me extra cherries in my Shirley Temple drink,
Mhm.
which is 7-Up and grenadine, but is the old spaghetti factory. San Jose. So as you can see here, like in this picture, they actually have a trolley inside. And
Mhm.
so it was always like really special to get seated in the trolley.
Ah,
It's kind of slow, but I'll let that load up.
no, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a
Hmm.
restaurant in Houston that it's a barbecue place that my sister-in-law likes that has
Hmm.
across the top, probably about a foot or so down from the roof, they've got all these electric trains going through like the rafters and stuff.
Oh, that's so cool.
I can't
Yeah.
remember the name of it. It's a barbecue place. Um,
Yeah. Look at me. Oh, okay. There we go.
mhm.
It's like you're
Now, growing up, there was a local
the
or
video that's like,
restaurant.
can you hear me talking right now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop sharing the screen because I think it's slowing down my system, my computer system.
lagging a little bit, but
Yeah,
no.
so then
Yeah. Now there's a locally owned restaurant growing up called Storms, which was really
mm,
good because they had like just awesome, just huge proportions on their food, and it was
mhm,
relatively cheap. And back before it was a thing for restaurants to do, they sourced all of their stuff locally, their vegetables and their meat and
mm,
stuff from like sources that from Lampasas or all the local areas, Clean, Harker Heights, and stuff like that.
mm.
But that was back. They did it because it was cheaper. They didn't do it as any kind of environmental thing.
Right, right.
Yeah,
And so it was called Storm. So that's where you would like to go
yeah,
if you were, it's like, oh, we're gonna take you for a special dinner. You choose where do you want to go. You would
yeah,
say Storm.
yeah.
Mm.
That
And
was
what
that
would be
was
your favorite thing to eat there?
probably either they did a catfish fillet baked,
Mm,
which was really
mm,
good, and they had just awesome hamburgers. It would have been one of those two.
mm. Nice. Well, Chalet, can you still hear us? We want to know where you're going to go for your birthday lunch with your mom. So we'll
We're
have to
gonna go to
see.
Chippendales.
Chippendales. So like any other favorite food places that you like? I mean, when you were growing up, when you were growing up?
Um, Dairy Queen.
Dairy
Good Dairy
Queen.
Queen. Yeah, that was nice. It was a chain, or still is a chain. I don't know if it's
Mhm.
outside of Texas or not, but they um they were relatively inexpensive. And a lot of times, like during the summer when we'd be roaming, just roaming
Mhm.
all over, you could stop in, and whoever was working the counter would like let you get like a large drink, and they'd charge you for a small.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a Foster's freeze
Hmm.
in California that was kind of like the, you know, um the ice cream place, the ice
Yeah.
cream shack kind of
Yeah.
place. Great milkshakes and malts.
Yeah.
Mm. I have some carnation malt in a container. I
Yeah.
keep it in my refrigerator because it's humid here. I guess, like South, but it's not as humid as the South, but things will go bad. It just left in the cupboard
Yeah.
faster, so I have to put things in my refrigerator, which isn't that big. I'm 5'2", and I can see the top of my refrigerator. So the refrigerator is
Oh,
probably 5 feet.
you're
Yeah.
about you're about the same height as my wife. I think
Uh,
she's 5'2" or 5'3", right in that area.
uh-huh.
And we have a standard sized American refrigerator,
Uh-huh.
and she does the big long arm stretch to get stuff off the top.
That's funny. Yeah,
Hmm.
I know, like with our, being in the US with refrigerators, um, I wouldn't always clean the top because I couldn't see the top.
Hmm.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
So, did you have and stuff on your refrigerator growing up?
I can't remember.
I know I did. And my in particular, I think of my grandmother's house. She
Yeah.
always had lots of magnets.
Yeah.
Had fun playing with them.
Yeah. Because we had the big freezer, this big stand up freezer in the garage. And I think we had magnets and stuff on it outside, but that
Huh.
it was,
Interesting.
yeah. And they were like the little magnetized letters, and we'd leave
Uh-huh.
notes,
Uh-huh.
and that's where we'd leave notes for each other with the magnet letters.
I think that I'm not sure if we actually had those, but I know like my friends had them for
Yeah.
sure. I'm not sure if we had them. Um, but my grandmother had like a big freezer out in the garage,
Hmm.
and that's where like all the extra frozen stuff was
Yeah. I mean,
stockpiled.
we got. I mean, currently we've got a big chest freezer in our laundry room, which is
Mm-hmm.
nice because we have the same issues with humidity here with things going bad real fast.
Mm-hmm.
We also have problems with um, weevils and stuff getting into the food, and so
Yeah.
like all our flour is in airtight containers, or sugar and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I have to be careful of that here too.
Yeah. Um, Luckily, a lot of times you can go through, if you get an infestation, you can go through and sift out, at least with the flour, you can sift out a lot of that. Not have to
Mm-hmm.
throw away a large chunk of your flour.
Yeah. I remember once here trying to do that, but I think they were falling through. The sifter wasn't small enough
Yeah.
to catch them, and I was just like, well, once they're cooked, are they going to hurt me? You know, can I just use this anyway? You
Yeah.
know, because I didn't want, I don't remember what it was I was trying to make and what I
Mhm.
needed to make, but it was like, I didn't like have time or money or whatever to go out and replace it. So it's
Yeah.
like I was really trying to figure out how to salvage it.
Yeah.
I don't remember what ended up happening, but I just remember going through that process
Yeah.
and my first thought was to sift and
Yeah.
it didn't get them all. Yeah.
The sifter I have is one that my mother gave to me when I first moved out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the old, it's tin and it has the handle on it. You put it in the top. No, you
Yeah.
turn it. Or
Oh, you turn it. Oh,
yeah,
my grandmother had one that you like
yeah. You
did
squeeze
the
the
handle.
handle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Oh, but that's cool.
yeah.
Wow.
And we had and when I married my first wife, my mom gave me a cast iron griddle, a cast
Mm.
iron fry pan,
Mm.
and I still have those to this day.
Nice.
I use them. We use them all the time. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, Sunday night I made a Dutch baby,
Mm.
and I use. And there are certain things that I will exclusively use the cast iron for,
Mm.
like steak and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
And
love using iron because I think you actually get iron by using it.
you might.
I
Um,
think so.
it's just growing up, my father exclusively used cast iron in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
I just have that. I know how to clean, maintain, and do cast iron. It's just easier that way for me.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my wife now, when we were first dating, I had went to work and she decided she was going to go ahead and clean the apartment up.
Mm-hmm.
She put the cast iron in the dishwasher.
Mm.
And yeah, I didn't
I'm
go. I
sorry.
didn't get mad or anything. I'm like, no, baby, we don't do this. And
Mm.
we had to reseason everything, and I showed her that process. And
Right.
I mean, she was 20, 21 at the time,
Mm.
and she grew up in a fairly opulent, not necessarily rich, but they didn't hurt for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So she grew up with, all the Teflon and all that stuff
Mm-hmm.
and knew nothing about cast iron other than it was heavy.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a cast iron pan here
Yeah.
that I shipped over. I shipped after 4 years. I shipped, everything that I want, more than what I wanted actually, because I need to sort through stuff and
Yeah.
get rid of stuff. I figured if I'm paying, because the main shipping cost to ship something in a container, like there's some basic fees, and then the amount of so I did 4 pallets,
Mm-hmm.
but shipping 4 pallets wasn't that much more than shipping 1 pallet, for
Yeah.
example. So I thought, well, instead of like giving stuff away to the, Salvation Army or Goodwill, I'll just bring it over and give it to Cambodians,
Mm-hmm.
But I still haven't sorted through everything. And then there's a lot of stuff that's just like paperwork. So like let's say my divorce paperwork, right? Is, that you want to keep. but then there's like boxes of other stuff. It's like, this it's time this can go in the garbage,
Yeah.
and I just have to sit down and go through it all. But anyway, I shipped over my cast iron, so I
Yeah.
have it.
But no, I imagine with modern technology, well, I have a copper lined uh, pan that I use. It's big. It's like a 14-inch, 18-inch frying pan / wok that's copper lined, which I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun to cook with. Um,
Yeah, that should be evenly distribute the heat, I think.
yeah, it does, and it is dishwasher safe. So
Mm. I don't have a dishwasher. Actually, I do, and her name is Srey Mao. She washes my dishes for me. I just told her about Thanksgiving because
yeah,
we did a Thanksgiving a couple of years ago, and we spent 2 days before Thanksgiving starting to prepare everything,
yeah,
so that it wouldn't be too overwhelming. So like they have these like really long green beans. So we get the green beans in on like 2 days in ahead, and we chop them all up and then stick them in the refrigerator, right?
mm-hmm,
And all those kind of prep things and also like getting out all the dishes, all the special dishes that are going to be needed, and making sure everything's washed and clean.
mm-hmm,
Any linens, making sure those are washed and clean and stuff. So
yeah,
um, yeah, it try to like, if the bake pies on the day before so that it's not taking up the oven space. But I'm
yeah,
not sure if I got them done before or if I just had to put them in after I took out the turkey.
yeah. A lot of times when we do the Thanksgiving here at our place, we'll we'll cook the pie. Well, what we do is pull the pie, the turkey and stuff out, and we cook the pies afterward.
Yeah. Then you got to be
Because
watching them while you're eating.
yeah, well, no, not really, because I'll the we'll let let the turkey rest, let it rest from baking, and about the time it's
Yeah,
ready to carve, the pies are ready to come out of the oven.
mm, yeah,
Um,
that's true. That's true. Because you don't want to carve the turkey right out of the oven.
yeah,
You need to let it settle. Yeah.
yeah, but no, it's interesting. And when we go down to the in-laws for Thanksgiving, I'm not sure what my mother-in-law does,
Mm-hmm.
but my mother-in-law is slowly transitioning from going to more of a vegan diet.
Mm.
To,
Wow. I never
uh,
thought about Thanksgiving for vegans.
yeah.
That's It's got to be a bummer.
uh, Actually, I advocate for vegans, because my theory is if we can get half the country to go vegan, the
Mm.
price of beef and stuff will come down because the demand will be less. So that's
Mm.
why I advocate for vegans.
I
My own self.
think that Americans in particular, even more than Europeans, tend to overeat meat,
Oh yeah,
and so yeah, that demand creates the negative situation for the slaughterhouses, and
yeah,
you know for the way the animals are treated, um, and in order to keep up with that supply, then you've got to pump them with the antibiotics and the
hmm,
steroids and all. I mean, it all feeds on its
yeah,
into itself because there's so much demand. and
hmm,
and though it's kind of also, it's probably a little bit of corporate greed in that there you can it's never enough just to make a profit. constantly increasing profit. So therefore it wouldn't be enough to sell 100,000 cows worth of meat and make
Hmm.
a profit on that 1,000 cows and have that be consistent and give dividends to your shareholders. No, it's got to be increasing. The value of those stocks and everything have got to be increasing.
Yeah.
So you have to find more and more, or convince people to eat more and more in this pyramid scheme. Really.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
so if we looked at health, though, I mean, I don't have a problem eating meat, but I am conscious of the fact that I don't want any animal to suffer. And I think that in America, with the industrialized meat
mhm.
system, industry, I guess, um, it's kind of hard to, it's hard to have and hard to find. I used to always, find, there was a small company that was growing beef or raising beef,
Mhm.
um, and it, like, organic, so it was organic beef.
Mhm.
And so it was kind of a little bit in the same. I mean, what we know about, is it pronounced Kobe beef?
Kobe beef, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, these people weren't playing in music for them and massaging
Mm.
them and going to what they weren't, but they were, um they had a cattle drive that would go from summer to winter,
Mhm.
kind of, meadows or whatever, grazing areas and stuff, so they would get their natural exercise. They fed them organic food. It was like there wasn't even it, like, the FDA or whoever did not have a way to certify organic yet, and they
Yeah.
were already doing it and marketing it. And it costs more because there's less of it. But I would seek out options like that when I could.
Now, um, in Michael Pollan's book, The Omnivore's Dilemma, there's a
Mm,
section where Michael Pollan is living and working for research on a farm. It's in Pennsylvania.
mm-hmm,
What they do is they have their property, the pastures divided up. And what they'll do is, like, they'll have a pasture where they grow the corn and vegetables and stuff like that. Then they'll have a pasture with cows, then a pasture with chickens, and a pasture with pigs. And what they do is, at the end of each season, everything shifts, it rotates.
right.
So your
Mm,
fertilizer is coming from the cow manure, the chicken manure, the pig manure. Your
mm,
your your wild grasses and stuff are kept at check by the animals,
mm-hmm,
and with them, chickens eating the bugs
mm-hmm,
and stuff like that. And what they do is they only sell locally. They don't do anything in their local area, and they're
mm-hmm,
able to sell beef because they're not shipping and packing and stuff like that.
mm-hmm,
They're selling it at like half to a quarter what
mm.
supermarkets are.
Wow.
And they have
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah. And that was just, and the guy who Michael Pollan's, interviewing and doing the research and stuff with, took land. He bought this land that was considered worthless, exhausted. And with this rotation process, over like a decade and a half, made it
Mhm.
some of the most fertile land in
Mm.
Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And it's just an awesome thing to read about, because people at the time the book came out, and I think 2000 teens sometime,
Mhm.
that people were driving down from like Canada because
Mm.
the prices up there, it was cheaper for them to drive from Canada to Pennsylvania and back than to buy it there.
Wow.
And that's just, you know, they'll go, okay, they'll put it out in, whatever media they use.
Mm-hmm.
We are slaughtering pigs, from this date to this date, and
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
when you can buy pork. We're slaughtering our meat chickens from this date to this date, same with cows or whatever. Or
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna, we have our milk and stuff like that, and it's just
Yeah. I think
because,
it all used to be like in the 70s when we were growing up, there was a local dairy somewhere nearby,
yeah, always
and
a local meat market.
yep, you have to hold your nose as you're going by.
In
I mean,
fact,
where the slaughterhouse was, if
yeah,
you were driving by, you know.
in fact, we had growing up in Carper's Cove, we had Brooks Supermarket, and that's
Mhm.
what all they had. They had, I think it was in Kempner or maybe even Lampasas. They had the farm and the slaughterhouse and all that, and all their stuff was there.
Mm.
And they even got
But when you Oh, go ahead.
things like scrapple and hogheads cheese and stuff like that.
Mhm. For the British people.
Yeah. But
I've eaten haggis. It's okay.
yeah, haggis isn't bad. Haggis I treat like menudo. It's
I
great.
don't eat menudo.
It's
But I eat
good.
hot dogs. See, I
Yeah,
do it. I treat it like hot dogs.
yeah. The thing is about 3 or 4 or 5 times a year I'm good. It's good. I couldn't eat those all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and when I had it like as part of a Scottish breakfast, then it you can't eat a lot. It's very greasy,
Yeah.
and so it would be way too heavy in your stomach if you ate a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I don't really just eat it, but like bacon, you can eat a piece of bacon by itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just go give me a piece of bacon.
Mm-hmm.
But in but with haggis, it's kind of like I gotta get some eggs and some potatoes and some beans or whatever. I gotta like eat it with something.
A little bit of Tabasco sauce is good on haggis.
Well, Tabasco is good on anything if you like Tabasco.
Yeah. I had a coworker, a friend of mine, who believed if you put enough hot sauce on anything, it'd taste good.
Well, he's probably got a point because if you got enough hot sauce, you're not tasting anything because your tongue's just on fire.
Yeah. That's another thing I don't understand. I know several Latinos, and they've shown me how to make like salsa and stuff.
Mm.
And if you make it with some of the traditional recipes, it's not
Mm-hmm.
near as hot as the stuff you buy in the stores. It's more balanced.
Mm. Yeah, I would think
I
so.
mean, you've got the heat, but it doesn't take over.
Right.
You,
So the holidays, right?
mm-hmm,
We're talking about Thanksgiving coming up. In my house, we had a turkey.
mm-hmm,
We had the green bean casserole with the like cream of mushroom sauce and the turkey's French onions.
mm-hmm,
We'd have mashed potatoes. We'd have gravy. We'd have stuffing. Um, pumpkin pie. We usually have pumpkin pie and apple pie.
mm-hmm.
Um, maybe carrots.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cream corn. I hated cream corn. Regular corn, okay, but not the cream corn. But that was always on the table. The cranberry sauce.
Mm-hmm.
What are there any differences that you grew up with?
We had usually we had pumpkin pie and sweet potato pie.
Mm.
Um,
Oh, the yams with the marshmallows and the brown sugar. We
yeah,
had
we
that.
had those. Um, Turkey usually. Turkey at Thanksgiving, ham at Christmas.
Yes. But we would
And
all usually have a turkey also. But we
yeah,
definitely had, and and it was special if you got that spiral cut ham.
Yeah.
And
And
sometimes it was just a ham that was in a can. Did you ever
um,
have that?
no, we never had that. We always got the ham.
The big ham
Yeah,
hock
we,
thing.
we would go out to Lampasas, me and my father would get the ham from the slaughterhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And we would also get, let me see, I think that's about all the major differences. Cranberry sauce, we would get the
Whoa.
cranberries. Dad would get the cranberries and we would make the cranberry sauce.
Wow, that's special. We just had the can,
Uh-huh.
and we preferred the jellied one, that not with the real cranberries in it, but just the jelly one that you just slice it right out of the can.
Yeah.
That was our cranberry sauce.
And every couple of years, my father would do the Boston bread in a can.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Brown
I don't
bread,
know if I've
Boston
ever had it
brown
though.
bread. Huh?
Uh-huh. I don't know if I've ever actually had it, but I know I've seen it.
It's the homemade version usually tastes a little bit better because you can put whatever amount of molasses you want in it,
Mm.
or syrup, maple syrup, depending on taste.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make it sweeter, you can make it less sweet.
So is it like the British puddings?
No, it's a bread. It's just cooked in a coffee can.
So is it already cooked when you get it in the can?
When you store buy it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you just open the can and shake
The,
out, like,
the
and then
bread,
you've
yeah,
got
it
bread.
slides
You
out.
can slice it, put butter on it, whatever.
Yeah.
That's
But when,
cool. I mean, like I said, I've seen it, but I never really understood, it's like, what is that?
well, what it is you make your batter, which I have a recipe somewhere in one of my Word files on my computer. But you take it and you fill up your usually the small coffee cans, and you put it in there and you leave room for it to rise. You put aluminum foil over the top so moisture doesn't get in, and you bake it like you would in a bread pan or something.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's
You'd break that out at the holidays.
yeah.
And when I was thinking about like the hams in the can, I think that might have been more like just a Sunday dinner during the year.
Yeah,
And I think we did have like the big ham.
yeah.
And it was special if we got the spiral cut ones.
Mhm. Our thing was who the ham bone.
Mm-hmm.
Who got the ham who got to take the ham bone and give it to the dogs.
Hmm. I thought you were going to say make beans with it.
We do that too. We use a lot of because me and my father did a lot of hunting. A lot of the beans and stuff we would use like um squirrel bones or rabbit bones, um deer bones, we'd use the bones from in those.
I guess.
We'd use it in soups. You're making a bouillon or something. Break
Mm-hmm.
the bones open so that marrow comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we
Yeah.
do stuff like that. Um, my father,
What about cookies?
go ahead.
I was going to say, what about cookies? But did you need to finish up something on the dinners?
No, I was going to, but my brain locked up. No, we had cookies all the time. That was
Yeah.
that was one of the few things my mom would make. My mom
Mm-hmm.
did not like cooking, still doesn't like cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And my father, before he was drafted, was a sous chef. Then when he got drafted, they made him a sniper. But he always had a passion for cooking.
Hmm.
And at some point through in the military, he actually got his little certificate thing that said he was a chef. He did that on his own.
Mm-hmm.
But no, my mom would tell you that she would mess up boiling water.
Oh, my grandma was a great cook, and she cooked for the schools, and then she cooked for like I don't know if it was a homeless shelter or just like a community center
Yeah,
kind of thing that anybody could come and get their meals.
yeah.
And then, but my grandfather, he was famous. For making his goulash. He called it goulash, and I don't even know if I have an actual recipe for it. But it's kind of like cross between a stew and I think there's pasta in it though.
Some
And
variants
so
of it, yeah.
I think it's Hungarian officially, but
Mm-hmm.
um, I think he had the elbow macaroni noodles
Mm-hmm.
and hamburger
Yeah.
and like marinara sauce,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, but of course, it was a lot. There was a lot more
Is
to it.
thick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The all like Poland, Ukraine, Hungary, Russia, all that have their own variants of goulash.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's like gumbo.
Mm.
Gumbo is very, depending on what part of Louisiana you're at, what part of East Texas, depends on what's in it, how it's made, how it's
Right.
flavored. Yeah.
Yeah, it's similar. And I know he could peel an orange or an apple or a potato in like one peel.
Mm, yeah.
Like just turn it around, keep turning it
Mm-hmm.
and turning it in one peel.
No,
He and I
I
was
would.
always amazed growing up, and he would do that.
For some reason, when I do potatoes, I butcher the potatoes. So when I cook potatoes, it's skin on everything.
It's like, okay, is there anything I have to cut out?
Yeah.
You know, and if there's, and then just wash, cut,
Mm-hmm.
cut it as small or as thin so that it cooks faster.
Yeah. Now I have a mandolin, which like if I'm doing fries or stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and every now and then it demands a blood sacrifice, but I mean the cutting blade on it,
Mm.
all you have to do is get your finger close to it. You don't actually have to hit it, and it cuts it open.
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, it's a nice little mandolin. But
Mm.
like doing like scallop potatoes and stuff, you can
Mm-hmm,
set
mm-hmm.
it and get just the right thickness.
Mm.
Uh,
Sometimes I get a craving for things like that.
yeah.
Like things that I grew up with being made out of a box. So like scallop potatoes and potatoes au gratin were all the like Betty
Yeah.
Crocker, in a box.
Yeah.
Um, but these days, I mean, people don't even know how to, like you say, boil water. They don't even know how to like cook hamburger helper anymore. I don't think it's all like delivery or ready made. Pop it in the microwave or just
Yeah.
take it from the freezer, put it in the oven.
That
Remember
was
when TV dinners were like in a tin foil tray and you
Yep.
put them in the oven, not because there weren't microwaves?
Yeah. And
Those were
you
good.
yeah.
Did you
Um
have TV trays?
yeah, they
Folding
were
TV trays?
yeah, getting to eat off TV tray was like a special treat.
Yeah.
like the Hungry Man Swanson TV dinners.
Yeah.
Like that was like, oh yeah,
Salisbury steak.
yeah. But no, a lot of the box stuff, because my father had a passion for cooking.
Ah, yeah.
I didn't get really exposed to that until I moved out on my own.
Ah.
And now that I'm retired, we buy very little box stuff. We buy canned vegetables every now and again, especially for the winter, because the fresh produce in the winter is always a little bit more expensive than in spring and summer.
Mm.
And but mainly, a lot of times what I'll do is we'll buy like chicken and beef and pork and stuff in bulk.
Mm.
Then I'll sit down with the air sealer and vacuum sealer and get that stuff. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll take it, season it, put it in, and freeze it that way. So all I have to do is pull it out, open it up, cook it. But no, a lot of the stuff, and every now and again I'll want a side, and I'll go, because for some reason it just, my brain works, getting like vegetables and stuff, I have to look at them and stuff like that. I can't get I don't do the curbside delivery for my vegetables, because you've got some poor, yeah, because you got these college kids that they're on a time limit. They've got to go pull the produce and get it ready for you to pick up. So they're just they're grabbing.
Yeah.
And those poor kids, because I've talked to a couple of them, and they an order of, depending on how big the order is, they've got X amount of time to take the buggy out and fill that order and bring it back to the staging area. So a lot of times we'll get substitutions, because it's not necessarily that they're out. It's just that they've got to meet that time. And if they don't see what you have on the list immediately, they grab, the next best thing. And because Texas, we have a grocery store called HEB.
Okay.
And a lot of their store brands.
It's Artemis.
You got a pirate kitty.
Yeah, this is different than the other one that was just a minute ago. That was Casanova. And this is Artemis.
Give her a bow and arrow.
Exactly. She's a hunter.
Yep. Now the whole thing with HEB is they do the locally sourced. That's their big thing. Whatever city they're in, a lot of their produce and stuff, a lot of the store brand stuff is locally sourced.
Okay.
So a lot of times when we my wife goes on and does the grocery list online, we'll get all store stuff, store brand stuff. It's cheaper and it's just as good. And every now we know we get substitutions when you start unloading groceries and you see like brand name stuff. You go, oh, they subbed that. So, and the HEB's thing is they will, if you put on your order for, say, the store brand milk, and they don't have it, and you get, say, a brand name milk, they still charge you for the store. They still charge you at the store price.
Oh, well, that's good, because I was thinking, maybe it's a scam to charge you more.
No, they charge you they don't substitute something. They always step it up when they do a sub. So yeah,
And charge you for the original.
yeah,
Well, that's good.
yeah. And during or at least in Texas during the pandemic and lockdown, they stayed open because all their stuff being locally sourced, they didn't have the issues with the trucking stuff across the state. So they did run out of things like toilet paper and the stuff like that. But as far as the food, and they would let so many X number of customers in at a time and this and that for health reasons. But what they did is the front part of their store, they opened it up and they put tables and chairs and stuff like that. So you're out in the open air while waiting to go shop during the pandemic. And I always thought that was cool.
I think my mom mentioned something about going to Costco once, where they had a lot, they were only letting, like groups of 10 go in, and then like 10 people come out, they let 10 more go in, or something like that. And
yeah,
we didn't have that happen here in Cambodia. We were like so lucky.
Yeah.
And there was only about 2 weeks that the city shut down, but that was like after the first year.
Yeah.
So like if you figure Wuhan was in September, then it was like April of I said February. Wuhan was in February. I don't know why. And then it was in April of the next year that we had like a 2-week lockdown.
We had our lockdown ran from, I want to say, spring break, because basically the teachers went on spring break, and me and the wife went for spring break. We went up to Fort Boggy State Park for a couple days. And when my wife is on spring break, Christmas break, summer break, or whatever, she doesn't check her school email for nothing. She's like, I'm on break. We're not dealing with that. And the Friday of spring break, she checked her email to catch up on everything, to be prepared to go to work. And she had the email going, we're not coming back. And it had the plans for the online stuff, which my wife at first didn't like, but once she got into the rhythm of it, because she could pre-film her lecture, and basically they used a Zoom type program, or maybe a program like this. And they had the students on. She could share the screen, run the video of her lecture. Then while the lecture was going on, she could do in the chat, any questions they had. And she had to be available from like 7 a.m. to noon, then from like 1 till 3. Because she got 12 to 1 off. They gave them that for lunch. Then, from 1 to 3. But what she came to like about it was that a majority of her students would be on in the morning session, and she might have, from like 7 to 8, she might have 60 students. And from the next block, she might have 75. And in the afternoon, she might only have 2 or 3 or 4 in each of the sections. And
it's a big difference.
and the school, I'm not sure what they use something through Google Classroom
Mm,
to do all the like the tests and the finals and stuff like that. And
mhm,
she got, then when they went back to school that fall, they went back to school in October. They started school, they did the online, then about October is when they started doing in classroom.
mm,
Then that November, my wife contracted the COVID
mm.
the first day of Thanksgiving break and was sick through the Thanksgiving break.
Oh no.
And her principal, being the person that he is, he did the paperwork where she was better, but the week after the Thanksgiving break, they went to let she got that off.
So they made it sick days to
Yeah,
make up for the
yeah,
holiday. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah. It was, and it was yeah. He did that for the teachers that got sick during the break,
Hmm.
and she has long COVID. She still
Mm,
has issues with her. She's asthmatic,
hmm.
and she has issues from that. I mean, the slightest bit of dust in the air or pollen or anything just destroys her.
Mm. Well, Chalet's giving some roses.
That's cool.
I'm not sure who you're giving them to, or are they for yourself? Did your mom arrive? You know, to go out to lunch? Is it lunchtime yet? I don't know.
Nah, it's still fairly early in the morning here.
Mm.
9:30 in Texas.
Okay.
So it's
So I started at 8 o'clock for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was before the time change. It was a perfect 12 hours. Now it's
Mm.
13 hours.
Yeah. Now it's 12 hours with Eastern time.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. Yeah, Chalet's in Florida, and
Mm-hmm.
Andy's in Cali, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. So she's
They're for me.
eh,
Well, thank you so much. Yay. Thank you, Chalet. It's weird because the camera is a lot higher than my line of sight to like look at you while we're
mhm,
talking, you know? So like I have to look up to look into the camera
mhm.
and yeah.
My
But
camera's
it's
on top of my monitor. It just
mhm.
has a little like clamp thing. It just kind of sits there.
Yeah,
Kind
mine
of,
too. But I
yeah.
have my seat like you hold the little hand lever under your chair
Uh
and
huh.
it drops. It's like
Yeah.
I'm dropped all the way down because
Uh,
I like my feet to be closer to the ground so they're not as much at an angle, if that makes sense. So I'm like, look, it's probably because of that I'm lower.
I'm no. I'm being 5'11", and my chair's all the way up.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just when I'm doing stuff like this and I don't have to have the headphones and stuff on, I'm probably about 2-3 foot from my desk. I got my feet kicked up on the desk. So
Oh, that's sweet.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like really close. I'm like a foot and a half away from the screen and it's a big television screen.
Yeah. Nah.
So I think I don't like to, you know, spend all day in front of it because it's so close. Remember, when we're growing up, we're always told, don't sit so close to the TV because it'll hurt your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But yeah, you go to the movies and sit in the front row center.
Woo, big experience,
Yeah.
especially Star Wars or something.
Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no.
What about family dynamics in the holidays? You always have like the one crazy aunt or uncle, and like the mothering one. Somebody who's always like making sure the kids are in line, and then somebody who's always telling crazy stories and stuff like that. Do you have the stereotypical family members?
No, not really. Simply because my father's family was in Pennsylvania and my mom's family was in Seattle, Washington.
Mm.
So a lot of times ours was like friends and neighbors and stuff like that, and nobody got too crazy.
Mm.
So yeah, it was. No, that's
What about like the little kids have their own table, or was everybody around one table?
we had a kids table.
Yeah, a folding card table, or
I think so.
yeah.
That's
What happened to those? Do they still sell those? The
ac-
folding card tables?
actually they have the technology on the ones that I've seen. They're like super card tables. You remember growing up, the card tables were kind of flimsy and wobbly, and
Yeah.
these are fairly stout. I mean, um, Rubbermaid makes a series of folding tables, everything from a card table all the way up to a big 4x8 table, and they all fold down into like a little suitcase you can carry.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. The technology on those is vastly improved.
Mhm. Oh my goodness.
And we had, see what else do we do for the holidays. The kids basically stayed outside till it was time to eat.
Mhm.
Yeah. And by the time you got ready to eat, you were ready to eat, then take a nap. And all the adult men would watch the football, and the women would go do their little thing.
Mhm. Which
And
usually involved like washing dishes and cleaning up everything while the
no,
men were watching football.
that's
But
what
then
that's what
they'd sit around the table and chat.
yeah, that's what well, that's what the young girls did. The girls, they were responsible for the washing and the cleaning and the
Hmm.
because that's what my little sister always disliked, that part of the holidays. Because the way our household was, she did the indoor chores, I did the outdoor chores. And in November, there's not a lot of outside chores to do. So,
Oh.
yeah,
Uh,
it was kind
yeah,
of
but
the,
every day there's dishes.
yep. But yeah,
Alrighty.
but during
Well,
the spring, but during the
I was gonna
spring
say,
and summer, you had mowing.
oh, a lot of mowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a push mower?
Yep. And
Yeah.
our backyard was 3/4 of an acre.
Hmm.
Yeah. So mowing took a little while.
Well, Chalet says they didn't make her clean up. She went downstairs and watched the soap operas. I know. I'm trying to think. It's like I think I was able to skid between being on the kids' side where you were too young, and then I don't know, so like hanging out and watching the kids and being with the kids to like being with the grown-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember having to do a lot of cleaning up
Yeah.
the holidays. Somebody else did it.
Yeah. Uh, yeah.
Mm. But anyway, I think it's time for me to wrap it up for tonight.
All right.
I I, I hope you enjoyed the show.
It was.
And tomorrow is a travel vlog. So we did Asia last week. So I don't know where. I'll have to find some pictures for. I'll see if I can find them for Amsterdam, maybe for not just Amsterdam, but the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
See if we can do that.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. But if I don't find them all, then might choose someplace else. So don't hold me to it. But that's it. As of right now, I think that's what I'm going to look for.
Yeah.
See if I can find those pictures. So, alrighty then. Yeah, and Chalet, I hope you enjoy lunch with your mom. Have a great lunch. And even though you never did answer where you're going to go, unless you don't know and she's going to surprise you. And if Andy's out there lurking, I hope he has a good day today. And Lemoyne, thank you for joining me up on the panel. Appreciate
Not a
that.
problem.
And I'll need to get you got your two channels. You two are active, and put the links in the description so that they're always there for everybody. Because I've got a little post-it note post-it note on my computer that I can just copy paste the description. And
Yeah.
so I'll just add that to it for you guys,
Yeah.
to help. I mean, obviously, I have 158 subscribers. It's not all that many, but it'll be there as a matter of record.
Yeah.
Cafe Margot. Wow, and look how they spell Margot.
Mm.
So, well, you're gonna have to tell us tomorrow how that went. Maybe I'll do Paris.
Mm.
Maybe Paris tours. I don't know. I'll look for Amsterdam and we'll see what I find there.
Yeah.
So, alrighty then.
Yeah.
So, good night.
Take care. Peace.
Like that.
Yep.
Great hiking video today too.
Yeah. Take care.
Okay,
have fun. Be safe. Peace.
Thanks. Bye. Love you guys.